Kal Kadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Tetvav Amud Aleph 15a1. We were talking about right now the beginning of the daf, and we were saying that Rabbi Rav Huna comes and he says that the Braita was speaking about somebody that purchases a field from a gazlan, which means you purchase the field from a thief. And kegon shenetru masikin. What does that mean? We were talking about the masikin. These are the gazlanim goyim that they come and they take by force. They take a field. And so therefore what happens is that he comes and he takes a field from the friend, and the masikin comes and he takes it from the gazlan. Okay? So now what happens is that the gazlan would be chayav to pay the nigzal for the field. So one more time. A person comes, he steals the field from his friend. Yeah? And now that he's coming and stealing a field from his friend, yeah, what happens is that the masikin, which is the guyim, they come and they steal it from him. Okay? So, ba nigzal ligbot keren, when the nigzal comes to collect the principal, govem min nechasim meshubadim, he's going to collect from nechasim meshubadim, which is the properties that have a lien. Ba nigzal ligbot perot, if he's coming to collect fruits, right? Govem min nechasim bnei chorin, he could only collect from nechasim bnei chorin. So now Rava comes and he's going to answer. Rava lo amar ke Rabba bar Rav Huna. Rava does not say like Rabba bar Rav Huna, right? Because when it says Harei yotze mitachat yado, right, bedina mashma, right, which means that when it says that it's coming out from his hands, it means it's coming out from his hands in the din. So therefore, we're talking about that he's taking it out from the bedin. But according to Rabbi Rav Huna, we're talking about the masikin, so it's nothing to do with bedin. Again, these are the thieves of the goyim, nothing to do with the bedin. So it's not mashma like that. Rabba bar Rav Huna lo amar ke Rava, and Rabba bar Rav Huna also didn't say like Rava, harei yotze mitachat yado ba'ina mashma. He comes and he says, it's mashma that according to him that the gufa sadeh is coming out from his hands, not the perot or the keren and things like that, right? It's mashma the goof of the actual land. Yeah? So one more time, do we say at the end of the day, who's keeping the field? The goyim. So it's not that you're getting back your land. You're only collecting whether it's going to be the keren, the principal, or the fruits. Okay? So fine. So Rav Ashi comes and he says, Litztadin ktani. What does it mean, Litztadin ktani? Kegon, for example, shegazal sadeh mechavero milei perot. You come and you steal a field from, right, full of fruits. Ve'achal perot u'machar et hasadeh, and you ate the perot and you sold the field. So balokach ligbot hakeren, when he comes to collect the principal, govem min nechasim meshubadim, you could collect from properties that have a lien. Ba nigzal ligbot et haperot, if you come to take the perot, govem min nechasim bnei chorin. So says the Gemara, ben Rava Huna mil ve'al pehu, this is considered a chov balpeh. He says, why? Because the nigzal is being tovea the gazlan. Okay? Now he comes and he says, umil ve'al peh eno goveh min nechasim meshubadim. Whenever you have a loan, and the loan is an oral loan, you never collect from nechasim meshubadim. Yeah? One more time. If you have a loan and there's nothing written down, you never collect from a field that has a lien. You only collect from nechasim bnei chorin, from fields which have no lien.
You can't.
Well, yeah, because at the end of the day, the mil ve'al peh we're referring to here, right, is the entire concept of that it's since it's oral, so it doesn't have the same power. If it was written down, you have much more power. Here it's oral. So says the Gemara, Hachama Eskinan, what are we dealing with over here? Keshamad badin v'hadar zabin. Really, be'emeh, the gazlan went with the nigzal to the bedin, and they went and they told the nigzal, you have to pay. Why? You stole the field. They took him to bedin, he has to pay. V'hadar zabin, and then he went and he sold it to other people. So since it was already that he was obligated in the bedin, so therefore it's considered like milve bishtar here. And since it's like milve bishtar because he was obligated to pay by bedin, so it's keilu that it was made into a debt document. It wasn't anymore oral. So therefore that's why you could collect even from the nechasim meshubadim. So ask the Gemara, if so, perot nami. The fruits also you should be able to collect from Nechasim Meshubadim. So answers the Gemara, Keshamad Badin al Kerem v'lo amad el perot. You only went to the Bedin to do the principle, but you weren't taken to the Bedin yet to do the fruits. Meaning, remember, there's two different things. First of all, you came and you stole the field, so you have to pay the principal. But then there's another concept, you have to pay for the fruits. You ate fruits for the whatever it is that you were there, right? It could be a month, it could be whatever the amount of time. So therefore, that you weren't taken to Bedin yet. So they first took you to Bedin to make sure that you're going to pay back the principal. And then afterwards, it's going to be with the fruits. So says the Gemara, Umay Pascha. Yeah? He says, are you going to tell me that really be'emet, this is the way that it's going to be, the first you always take them on the keren and not on the fruits? Until you're going to come in. Usually when you go to Bedin, it's on everything. Right? And therefore, right, it's also on the fruits also as well. So answers the Gemara, Stama de milta kitava inish karna tava beresha. He says, no. Usually when you come to demand, you come to demand on the big things first. You're not going to come on, meaning like this. Nobody's going to come to Bedin and say, listen, by the way, he stole my field, but he ate a month's worth of fruit. So the Bedin are going to come, oh, okay, fine. So, okay, a month's worth of fruit. Okay, so how much is a month's worth of fruit? Oh. First, he stole my field. You start dealing with the keren, the principle. Afterwards, you come and you start dealing with, right, the smaller amounts. Okay? V'savar Shmuel lokeach mi gazlan let li shivcha. It says what? Does Shmuel actually hold that if you purchase from a gazlan, there's no shevach? Right? What does that mean? You don't get any appreciation and value. Remember, you just bought a house. You didn't know it was stolen. You came and you started investing. Renovations. You go into a house, you have to renovate. So you come, you start renovating it. All of a sudden, they come and say, no, I'm sorry, this field was stolen. They want to take it away from you. Are you going to tell me now that you only get the keren? You only get the principal, but you don't get the shevach? You don't get the money that you invested in the house? V'hamar leShmuel l'Rav Chinana bar Shilat. Says Shmuel to Rav Chinana bar Shilat, Imlich uchtov shufra shivcha upeirei. He comes and he says, ask the mocher if he's going to accept upon himself to write in the shtar. You remember this was three things that when a sofer comes and he writes, he's writing a document, he's going to come and write down three different things. First of all, he's going to have to accept upon himself the achrayut, which means that if somebody comes and takes it away from you, you have to pay for it. That's called the keren. Shifra, which was the shefer, is that, for example, the shevach and then shifra. The shevach is that which you invest in the house, and the shifra is that you're going to collect from the best, from idit, from the highest, from the best of the property, la creme de la creme, from Surfside, right? Not from Opaloka. Yeah? So therefore, that's called shifra. So he comes and he says over here, b'mai, what are we dealing with? If we're talking about a balchov, there's no fruits to balchov. Ve'amar Shmuel comes and he says, yeah, balchov goveh et shevach, right? The balchov is going to collect the shevach in perot lo, only shevach, not perot. Elalav, but rather belokeach mi gazlan. We're talking about that you're taking from a gazlan. So Amar Rav Yosef says, Yosef, my skin, what are we dealing with? Kegon sheyesh lo karka. He already has the fruits. He already has it. Okay? Which means that since he's already got a field, right, and he's got another field, so therefore there's no problem, right? That means if you remember, one of the reasons why we said that you're not allowed to come and to take you remember the gazlan, right? If he's taking away from you the field, one of the reasons we said that you cannot take the appreciation value is because it looks like ribit. It looks like interest. Because what happened at the end? He took away your money, right? Because he stole from you, right? So he stole your field. And now he has to give you back the money plus shevach, plus investment. So that looks like ribit. Because at the end of the day, it looks like I took a loan, right? Because that's more or less keilu what it was. I took a loan, and now I have to give you back the loan plus interest. It looks like interest. So that's why we said that you're not allowed to come and take from the shevach. So Abaye comes and he says, he says, you're not allowed to borrow a se'av chitin in order to pay back another se'av chitin, right? If you have a field, meaning like this, in order for it not to be rebit, you have to have the same produce. So for example, imagine right now I don't have any dollars. I'm in Eretz Yisrael and I don't have any dollars, and I borrow from you dollars. Now the problem is the price of the dollar goes up and down. So even if I'm not going to charge you interest, that in itself could be interest. Because I lent you $100, which was worth, let's say 300 shekel, and all of a sudden now the $100 is now worth 320 shekels. So what I just did was, that's considered a beat. So in order to get out of the beat, you have to have the same currency, even if it's $1, but you have to have the same currency. It's called the se'ah b'se'ah, that you have to have the same currency. Now what we're trying to say though here is, does it help if I'm going to lend se'ah b'se'ah, but you have a piece of field? It doesn't help. You need, right, another se'ah of whatever it is that you borrowed. Let's say we're talking about kemach, flour, whatever it is, in order that there shouldn't be any type of rebit. Yeah? So he comes and he says, again, this is only in Yisud Rabbanan, but this is what there is. Okay? So he comes and he says, Elmaleh, he answers, Hatam halva'ah. There it's a loan. Hachazvine, here it's a sale. You remember we said that there's going to be a difference between a loan and a sale. Here it's a sale, it's not a loan. You're right, by a loan, there's a concept of rebit. Here it's not a loan. So Ika Damni, there are those that say, Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, Hachamaskinan, what are we dealing with over here? Kegon shekanu miyado. What does it mean, kanu miyado? The Edim, they accepted a kinyan from the mocher, right? So they accepted a kinyan from the seller, right? With the responsibility of the shevach during the time of the sale. So it comes out that the chiyuv on the shevach was already from the time of the sale, right? When he still wasn't getting the money yet. So therefore, that's why he comes and he says it doesn't look like a beat. So Shmuel does admit that in such a case, you could collect also the shevach. So Elmaleh, Abaye comes and he tells Rav Yosef, he says, what, are you allowed to do this? That you're allowed to borrow one se'ah of chitin in order to pay back another se'ah chitin, because maybe it's going to go up in value, even if you just do a kinyan? He says, still, at the end of the day, it still looks like rebit. So Elmaleh comes and he answers him, no, again, same thing. One's a loan and one's a sale. By a loan, there's a problem of rebit. By a sale, there's no problem of rebit. So Gufam Shmuel comes and he says, Balchov gove et shevach. A Balchov does collect the shevach. Amar Rava comes and he says, say that you should know, shekach kotev lo mochel lelokeach. That's what he writes in the actual document. Ana ekum ve'ashpe v'adake v'amarek zevine meilen. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to purify, I'm going to make it clean, meaning that when I'm actually going to do the sale, I'm going to make sure that there's nothing on it. There's no accusations on it, it's going to be a clean sale. Inun v'amnehon v'shivchehon. Whether the mekach itself, the gufa karka, or all the amel is the shevach that you're going to invest in it. Ve'ekum kodamach, and I'm going to stand up on it, ve'tzaveh zevina dinan ve'kabila lohi. And this lokeach wants, and he accepted upon himself all these conditions. So it comes out that the Balchov is goveh shevach from the lokeach. And the reason why is because the lokeach, right, cannot come and take back from the mocher the shevach that was taken from him. So Amar le Rav Chia bar Avin Rava, says Rav Chia bar Avin name Rava, Ela me'ata. So let's see now. Matana. What about by matana? Delo ketiv le hachi. Right, that it's not written over there. Hachanami delo tadriv shivcha. Are you going to tell me now that you're not going to take, the Balchov is not going to take now the shevach from the matana? Imagine somebody comes and he gives a present, and then they come and they take away the present. Why? Because he already obligated it, or he owed the money to somebody else. So they come and take it away. So what? He's not going to take the shevach? Elmaleh comes and he says, yes. That is the din. The Balchov cannot take the shevach, right, from the mekabel matana. So says the Gemara, v'chiyafeh koach matana mimmecher. Says what? Are you going to tell me that the power of the person that's receiving a matana is stronger than a sale? Elmaleh, yes. Yafeh v'yafeh. It's very, very good. It's that means basically what we're trying to say is that the person that receives a present is actually going to come and he has the same power, right, as a person that's actually purchasing, right, in such a case. So Amar Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, Hamatniti misayel lemor Shmuel. Our Braita is actually approved to more Shmuel. Vehuna chavrim mukim la b'mili achrine. And Rav Huna, our friend, he's actually saying that it's talking about something else. The Tanya is going to the Braita. Imagine right now, you come and you sell a field to your friend, and they took it away from him. When the lokeach is going to come and take it from the mocher, he could collect the keren from nechasim meshubadim. Yeah, and the shevach he's going to collect from bnei chorin. Vehuna chavrin mukim la b'milachrine. Huna, our friends, they're coming and they're saying that it's going to be right with other things. What does that mean? Belokeach mi gazlan, meaning that you're taking it from a gazlan. Okay. V'tanya idach, and there was another writer that says, if you're going to sell a field to your friend and you make it appreciate in value, uva balchov v'tarfas, so balchov comes and he collects it. So keshu gove, when he's going to come and collect it from the seller, ima shevach yoter leyitziyah. What happens if the shevach is more, right, than the yitziyah? Yeah, which means notela shevach mi bala karka. He's going to take the shevach from the balakarka, and the yitziyah he's going to take from the balachov. Mima yitziyah yetira la shevach, but if the yitziyah is going to be more than the shevach, en lo ela hotzah shiur shevach balachov. He's only going to get from the balachov, which means like this. Imagine right now you bought a house. Yeah, imagine right now you bought a house, and when you're going to buy the house, you invested in the house more than what it is that you paid for the house. Sometimes it happens. You buy a house, you buy a dump. Yeah. Oh, exactly. You buy a dump. It costs you $500,000. Exactly. You come and you invest another $500,000 or whatever it is. You invest $1 million. Right now it becomes $1.5 million. But really, man, now the value is $4 million. Because you invested the $1 million in order to come to make a 2-story home and this and that. And right, what happens? And what happens is that now, right, by doing this, right, it becomes the entire concept that we just mentioned before, right, which is going to be the how do you call this? Which is going to be that the shevach, which means the money that you're investing is actually more, right, which is basically the hotzaot, if you want to call it, is actually more than the yitziyah, is more than the actual money that you actually put into it. So you went and you bought the field for 500, you went and you invested much more. So what are you supposed to do? So he says here, you take the shevach, right, which means the extra from the balakarka, and the yitziyah, the actual keren, if you want to call it, right, from the balachov, right, that he took it away from him. Now, if the yitziyah is going to be more than the shevach, so then no. So then you only have from the balachov the shiur of the shevach. So says the Gemara, veha Shmuel b'may mukim la. What is the case according to Shmuel? If it's talking about that you're taking it from the gazlan, right, which means the guy, the nigzal comes and he took it away from the guy that bought it. So kasha reisha, you have a question in reisha, but Shmuel says, "Lokach mi gazlan, let li shivcha." You remember, according to Shitat Shmuel, he said that if you purchase something from a gazlan, there's no shevach. You do not get the shevach in such a case because it looks like a beat. You remember we said because what happened if the guy doesn't have a field, right? He stole your field, so therefore, in essence, he has to pay you back your field. Now what happens? He has to pay you back for your field with shevach, right? That means that he's paying like rebit. It looks like rebit. Why does it look like rebit? Because kilu, he took your money, and now he has to pay you back your money plus investment. What you invested in the field. So, one second. So therefore, since right now it's going to happen that you have to pay the principal, which is your money, plus the investment, it looks like rebit. So according to Shmuel, you never pay that. You don't pay that back. Right? Again, according to Shmuel, we're talking about that you purchased it from a gazlan. Okay? So according to him, you only collect the property, meaning the value of the property, but not the shevach. And if we're talking about a balchov, which is basically that you owe the money, meaning there's no thieves here, but you owe the guy money. So the guy's going to come and he's going to collect. So kasher reisha v'seifa. Then you have a question on reisha and seifa because Shmuel says a balchov does take the shevach. So what are we talking about over here where it's mashma that he's not? What are you talking about? You always take the shevach in balchov. I mean, you're always going to take it. Okay, why? Because at the end of the day, there was no stealing here. It was just you went and you owed somebody money. So now the guy comes, he bought it, and now the guy took it away. But you invested. So your investment, the guy has to pay it back. So answers the Gemara, one answer. The first answer is that no, you did take it from a gazlan. but he has a field already. You remember we said that if you already have another field, it doesn't look like Rebit. Okay? It was only because he doesn't have another field, so it looks like Rebit, because basically this guy has no field, so he stole a field, which in essence means that he's taking money away from you, and then he has to pay you back that money, which is the principal, plus he has to pay you back the shevach, which means it looks like Rebit. But if you have another field, it doesn't look like Rebit, because at the end of the day, the stealer. No, the stealer. We're talking about a stealer in the first answer. First answer is a person that stole. Okay? Now, the another answer is in that, which is the same type of an answer. We're talking about Shekanu miyado. Shekanu miyado means, right, that that he made a kinyan on it. You remember we said that in certain cases, right, it's as if that a person is going to become obligated, right? That's the pshat of kanu miyado, which means that he accepted upon himself the shevach. When you accept upon yourself the shevach, so therefore that's it. There's nothing to talk about. So, for example, you're the guy that stole. You stole the field and you sold it. When you sold it, right? Now what happens is that you accepted upon yourself the shevach from the buyer. Meaning that the buyer comes and he makes you obligate yourself that if he invests in the house and now something happens, you have to pay for it. That's called kanu miyado. In such a case, you have to pay for the shevach. So that's the first answer that basically we're talking about that you're purchasing it from a gazlan. When you could answer bebalchov, we're talking about that you purchased it from a balchov. And it's still not a question. Kan b'shevach hamagia l'ktefayim v'kan b'shevach she'ena magia l'ktefayim. Tetvav amud bet. What does that mean? It comes out that there's going to be two different types of shevach. But again, we're talking about a balchov. But there's two different types of shevach. What does that mean exactly? Shevach, right, which is magia l'ktefayim, which means that the perot they're almost ready to be reaped. Right? But you need it a little bit. Meaning you need a little bit, how do you call this? The land for a little bit more nourishment. But it's almost ready. That's a pshat, magia l'ktefayim. Right? And therefore the perot gemurim. So therefore the balchov does not collect them, but rather he has to pay the hotzaot. But according to Shmuel, where he says that he's going to be goveh all the shevach without any type of hotzaot, we're talking about she'eno magia l'ktefayim. And therefore, since we're talking about that it's not magia l'ktefayim, right, which means that the fruits are not ripened yet, they're not ready yet, so therefore it's still karka. So therefore that's why he's going to collect it without the paying of the hotzaot. So basically, like, there's three different levels. If you look in the footnote, he says, perot shelo nigmeru, if you have fruits which were not ripened, they're considered shevach, and the balchov collects them without paying the hotzaot. Perot gmurim, and they still need the land a little bit, meaning it's already ripened, but you just need the land a little bit more. So then in such a case, it's still considered shevach, and the balchov is collecting it, but he has to pay the hotzaot. And perot gmurim, that they don't need the land at all, the balchov is not going to collect them at all. Okay, he's not going to collect anything whatsoever. So says the Gemara, Veha ma'asim b'chol yom v'kamag v'shmuel afilu b'shevach magia l'ktefayim. What are you talking about? He says this happens all the time, and sometimes, and Shmuel comes and he says that you're going to collect even the shevach, which is magia l'ktefayim, which means we just said that we were talking about magia l'ktefayim, which means that it's already ready, right? That means that you just need the karka a little bit, and you have to pay the hotzaot. He was collecting everything over here. So answers the Gemara Lakashi. That's not a question. He says, "Had masik be keshiur ar'a v'shivcha, ve'had la masik be ela keshiur ar'a." He says it all depends, right, what the case was. What are we referring to, basically? So he comes and he says that which Shmuel says that balchov is going to collect, right, the shevach, is talking about that you have the shiur of the karka with the shevach. So you're going to collect the shevach, and you don't have to actually give any type of hotzaot whatsoever. But that which we come and we mention, right, the entire concept in the Raita, that he has to pay for the hotzaot, we're talking about that you only have the amount which is basically of the karka itself without the shevach. Right? So for example, you borrowed a maneh, and the karka, right, was already worth a maneh even before you appreciated the karka. So therefore, you cannot collect anything extra. So so therefore, in such a case, right, he's not going to collect, right, the karka itself. You only collect the shevach, yeah, and then you get rid of him. So one more time, you come and you bought a field. You invested in the field $100, right? The field was already worth $100, and you come and you invest $100. All of a sudden, a balchov comes and he says, "Sorry, this guy owed me money. I want $100." You only take the shevach. You don't take the field, because I could get rid of you with a shevach, right? And then I still stay with. I could get rid of you with a shevach, and therefore I do not give you the field. I only give you the shevach, the appreciating value. So, for example, let's say I came and I appreciated it in the fact that I added a few different things, which whether it's going to be fruits, I planted a whole bunch of different types of trees, or I came and I put movable objects or whatever it is. So in all these cases, right, I'm going to come and I'm going to be able to remove you with the shevach, right, and I don't have to actually give you the gufa karka.
Rabbi, you took the example where it was 100.
So says the Gemara, Hani Hechal man da'amar. This is good according to the man da'amar, that he says, what happens if you have money, so therefore the balchov cannot take you away? Imagine right now, right? I come and I buy a field. I didn't know that the guy owed money to somebody. So all of a sudden somebody comes and he says, I want the field. So, well, what do you want in the field? Yeah, he owes me money first. I have money. Can I pay the guy off and tell him how much does he owe you? 100 zuz.
Who are you? The owner?
No, I'm the buyer. One more time. A buyer comes, I went and I bought a field. I didn't know, right? I didn't know that the seller owed money to you beforehand. You come to me, you say, I want the field. So, I want the field. Of course, he owes me money first. But I have money. I ask you, how much money does he owe you? $100. Can I just give you money and get rid of you? Meaning, I'm not going to give you the field. I'm going to give you the money. So says the Gemara, Hani Chalaman, this is good according to the Manamar, you still cannot pay off the balchov. So then it makes sense. Why? Because it comes out that the balchov could actually take the field, right? And I can't actually pay you off. But according to the Mandamar, that if I do have money, I could get rid of you just with the money. So therefore, why doesn't he just say, if I would have had money, I would have just taken off the field, right? And that you can't take it. So now that I don't have money, Havli garba de'ara be'ara shiur shivchai, at least give me the part of the field because of my shevach. Meaning, not because I don't have money am I going to lose out. Meaning, if you're going to tell me, again, there's a machloket. A machloket, can I get rid of you with money or not? One more time. David was owed money by the seller. The seller comes and he sells it to me. I did not know about that he owed him money. David comes to me, give me the field. So I'll give you the field. I say, he owes me money. So now the problem though is, okay, fine, he owes you money, but now what happens? If I have money or if I don't have money? So now, there's a machloket. One shita holds that if I have money, I just pay off David and I tell David, litraut. Yeah, hasta la vista. Why? Listen, I paid you off. He owed you money. You're right, the property was mishubad, it was a lien, but I could just pay you off. Okay? And now, right, we're going to come and we're going to say, but that's a machloket. According to one mandamar, you could actually do that. According to the other mandamar, though, it doesn't help. But according to this mandamar, that I can actually pay you off. So why didn't I just say, listen, if I had the money, I could have got rid of you. So now that I don't have the money, at least give me the portion in the land of my shevach. So answers Gemara, what are we dealing with? Kigon shasao pitiki. You made the field into an apotiki. You remember the apotiki is that you made it that this field is what you're going to collect from. He comes and he says, this is the field that you're going to come and you're going to collect. So in such a case where he actually comes and he says, right, that it's going to be mishubad to this, so therefore everybody agrees that the lokeach cannot be misalek just with money, because therefore he actually takes from the actual field. So that was the case that we're talking about, right? That we said that in such a case, he only collects from this field and the guy cannot come and remove him just with money. He has to take from the field, and that's what we're talking about, okay? Fine. So Bezrat Hashem. 2 dots on Tedvav Amud Bet. We're 15b. We are by the 2 dots. Hikid ba she'ena shelo. The Gemara is going to speak about right now a case where, again, you are taking the field from a gazlan. Yeah, and what happens is that the lokeach at the time of the purchase, he comes and he recognizes that it does not belong to the mocher, but rather it's stolen. Ulkacha. And still he comes and he buys the field. Amar Rav comes and he says, Ma'ot yeshlo, shevach enlo. So in such a case, where he already recognized that it was actually going to be stolen, so therefore he only gets the money back, but he does not get the shevach. Okay? Obviously makes sense. Right? Ushmuel Amar, but Shmuel says, Afilu ma'ot enlo. You don't even get the money. Why? Because when you purchased it, since you already recognized that it was stolen, not even the money, meaning you threw your money out. So, what is a machloket exactly between them? So, Rav Savar, Rav holds, Adam yode'a shekarka enlo, vegamar venata leshum pikadon. The lokeach knows that the guy does not have a field, because it's stolen. So when he gave him the money, he wasn't giving him the money for a field. He knew the field didn't belong to him. It was a stolen field. So why did he give him the money then as a pikadon? And therefore, right, what happens is that he could still come and at least get the pikadon. Right? One more time. The guy comes, I want to buy it. I recognize it, say, this guy stole it. So if I say that this guy stole it, obviously I'm not buying a field. He can't sell me a field that's not his. So what am I doing? So I'm giving him a pikadon. So I still get the pikadon. I gave him money to watch over it. Right? It's going to come a time I'm going to have to get it right. Obviously, I cannot stay with his field. Right? I know that. I know it was stolen. Right? So therefore, I give him a pikadon. So now he's going to come, but I can still take back the pikadon. That is the shita of Rav. That's why according to Rav, you still get your money back, but you don't get the shevach. Now you don't get the shevach because it's obvious. Because at the end of the day, why are you investing in something that you know that it's not the guy's? Meaning, what do you mean you're not doing the transaction?
You're not buying it.
Well, you are buying it, but at the end of the day, what we're saying is that when you're actually buying it from this guy, the fact that you recognize that it was stolen, so it's not considered really buying because we know that it's going to be taken away from you because it's stolen. So therefore, what happens is that you don't get the shevach, you only get the money back, but it's like a pikadon. That is the name Elmaleh leshum pikadon. So if so, why doesn't he tell him mefurash then that he's giving him pikadon? If he already knows that it's stolen, why is he doing it like a transaction of a sale? Just say from the beginning he's doing it for pikadon. So answers the Gemara, Savar lo mekabel. The lokeach thought that the gazlan will not come and accept it as a pikadon because he doesn't want to watch over the money. So therefore he can't say befirush, right? But rather he's going to come and say, okay, we're doing it as a sale. But he's just going along, so that way he knows he's going to take it back from him. Ushmuel Savar, Shmuel says, Adam yodea shekar kaenlo, vegamar natan lo leshum matana. Meaning, even according to Shmuel, he doesn't say that he doesn't get the money, right, because he's an accomplice. But rather, since he knows that the guy does not own anything, he's giving it to him as a present. So when he's coming and he's giving him money, he's giving it to him as a present. So ask the Gemara, v'nei Elmaleh leshum matana. So just say, you're giving it to him as a present. Meaning this guy knows that he's not going to get a field. It's stolen. So therefore, why is he giving him the money? As a present. So just say he's giving you a present. Says the Gemara, ksifa lemilta. The guy will be embarrassed to take the present, and therefore he gave it to him keilu, it's a sale, and therefore afterwards that's why what's happening. So therefore he doesn't get any money back because he actually gave it to him as a present. Okay? So says the Gemara, ve'aplige be'echad azimna. Says the Gemara, but 1 second, but we already had a machloket in this. Why? Titmar, because it was stated in a Gemara in Masechet Kiddushin. Hamkadesh et achoto. What happens if a person comes and he's mekadesh his sister? Yeah, now we know that obviously Kiddushim is not tofsim on a person's sister. So Rav Amar, Rav comes and it says, Maot chazrin. You get your money back. Right? Why? It's not going to be chal. You get your money back. Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Maot matana. He just gave her a present. So now let's see what's the svarot. What are the logics behind it? So yeah, obviously there's a Gemara in Kiddushin. Yeah. So says the Gemara. Rav Amar Rav says Maut Chozrin. The money goes back. Adam yodea shen Kiddushin tofsim bachoto. Ve'gamar v'natan lashum pikadon. A guy, he knows that there's no such thing, right? He knows that he doesn't want to come and give it to Kiddushin. Kiddushin is not tofsim. He knows that. So therefore, so why is he giving you the money as a pikadon? Right? So just tell her he's giving her a pikadon. He needs, in the olden days, you have to remember, there's no such thing as like the banks and everything like that. You need somebody to watch over your money. So you're giving it as a pikadon. So just tell her, I'm giving it to you as a pikadon. Says the Gemara, Savar lo mikabla mina. He knows that if he's going to tell her, listen, watch over my money, she's not going to accept it. Right? But if he tells her it's for Kiddushin, she'll accept it. And then afterwards, he just comes and he takes his money back. Shmuel, though, comes and he says, no, it's a matana. Why? Right? Adam yodea she'en Kiddushin dorsim achuto. You know that you cannot get married to your sister, and therefore you give it to her as a present. So why don't you just give it to her as a present? Answers the Gemara, ksiv la minta. Right? She's embarrassed. She's not going to accept presents. So therefore, he did it in such a way that she's not going to be embarrassed. So it says the Gemara, we already learned this, right? We already learned this, right? We already learned this, that if right now the exact same machloket we already learned to do with Kiddushin, why do we need to learn the exact same machloket to do with buying from Gezelah? So answers the Gemara, tzriche, I need both. Why do I need both cases? He says, Diitmar beha, if you're going to tell me in the case of the sadeh and the field, beha kamar Rav, here, Rav is going to say, Delov di inche diav matanol lenuchra. A person is not going to give a matana to a stranger. Meaning, think about it. This guy is a stranger. Only when he's doing the transaction does he realize the guy's a thief. Why in the world is he going to give a present to a stranger? It doesn't make sense, right? But by achoto, he doesn't want to give her a present. So maybe I would say, Ema model Shmuel, maybe he agrees to Shmuel, that maybe he gave her a present and not a pikadon. So I needed this case to teach you that he's also giving it to a pikadon for a sister. V'yitmar behach, and if it was only going to be written about the sister, behach kamar Shmuel, in this case, Shmuel comes and he says that it's going to be a matana. Why? Because it's your sister. Aval beha, but in the case of the gazlan, right? Ema model Rav, maybe bemet, Shmuel admits to Rav that a guy doesn't want to give a matana stam to a stranger. So because of that, you need both cases. So you need the same machloket, which is applying to the concept of an isur, right? Whether it's talking about isur of kiddushin or an isur of the gazlan, you need the same machloket between Rav and Shmuel. Do you say that the guy was giving it as a pikadon and therefore he gets his money back? Or do you say that he was giving it as a matana and therefore he does not get his money back? Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara, Ben le Rav de Amar pikadon. Ben li Shmuel de Amar matana. But it doesn't matter whether you're going according to Rav that it's a pikadon or Shmuel that it's like a matana. Hai le'ar'a b'may kanachit uperot hechiachil. He says, 1 second. With what zechut does he go into the land and how does he eating perot? Meaning, this guy knows that it's stolen. What do I care now how he gets does he get his money back? Does he not get his money back? But he's going in the field. He's going to start eating fruits. He knows that it's fruit, that it's stolen. So he comes and he says, no. Savar, he thought as a mistake, Ana echul le'ar'a ve'evid ve'echul begaveh. He thought, I'm going to go down, I'm going to work the field, and I'm going to eat the fruits. Ki hechi dahava ka'avid ihu, just like he was doing it. Right? And he's not going to be mazik, right? Because he's not losing anything, right? Before I actually came and I bought it. So therefore, right, l'chiyati maridara, when he's going to come back, I'm going to give him money. So l'Rav damar pikadon, pikadon, and Shmuel that he says matana, matana. Okay, which means according to Rav, right, his thing is that the money is going to be a pikadon. According to Shmuel, it's going to be a matana, which means the guy's going to justify himself. He's going to think, 1 second, 5 minutes ago, there was a gazlan in the field. The gazlan was eating the fruits. Now, I'm going to go down, I'm going to work, and then I'm going to come, I'm going to pay him. He's not losing anything more than the fact that I'm buying the field now. So what's the problem then? Right? A bit of time, right? I gave the money as a pikadon, or as a matana, whichever one it is, according to the shitot, right, to this gazlan. I'm going to get my money back from him, or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, right now, nobody's losing anything. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Hilchata, what is the halacha? Yesh lo ma'ot, v'yesh lo shevach. Yeah? Ve'af al pi shelo piresh lo ta shevach. Something incredible. Here, right, you came and you bought the field. You knew it was stolen. And you came and you actually appreciated the field. You invested in the field. And you made it better. Not only do you get the ma'ot back, you also get the shevach from the gazlan. The ma'ot is money. Not only are you getting your money, but you're also getting the shevach from the gazlan. Right? That means you're getting the appreciation of what you invested. Okay? And even though you didn't say it at the time of the sale, he's still going to be obligated in it. And right? And that's how he's paskening. That's halacha. Okay? Which is, huh?
Sounds weird.
Well, that's what it is. That's halacha. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, but that's halacha. So now he comes and he says, right, that basically, which one? זה הלכה, זה גמרא, לא ספרדים או אשכנזי. Yeah? Says the Gemara, הכיר בה שאינה שלו ולקחה. What happens now if the lokeach, right, recognized, right, that it was not his, right, and, yeah, what happens is that he recognized that it was not his, so ma'ot yesh lo, shevach en lo. So here, he only gets the money, he doesn't get the shevach, just like Rav. So one more time, two different cases. The first case was halacha, that you bought it, and you did not realize that it was his. So in such a case, if you came and you appreciated it, right, you get money and you get the shevach. Now, even though you didn't say it, you still get the shevach. The second case is if you already knew from the beginning, you don't get the shevach. You don't get the appreciation. Now, says the Gemara, achrayut taut soferhu. Achrayut is going to be a taut sofer. What does that mean? Ben shtare halva'a, ben bishtare mekachomemkar. You remember the concept of achrayut, which was taut sofer, is that, for example, if I come and I write a document, and you did not write the concept of achrayut, that there's a responsibility, there's a guarantee, that's a better word, guarantee on it. So therefore, he comes and he says it's a taut sofer. Why? He should have written that nobody's going to come and throw their money away for nothing. So even though it's not written in the document, it was a taut sofer, right? And that doesn't matter whether it's talking about a shtar alva'a or a shtar of mekach umemkar. It's all the same. Meaning, we're not going to say, if you remember, we said no, that maybe by shtar alva'a for sure it's a mistake because nobody would lend their money and just throw it out in the garbage. But by mekach umemkar, it does exist. Why? Because some people will buy a field for a day. No. Well, the way that we're paskening. So one more time, right? We're doing 3 halachot. Halacha number 1, what is halacha? The Rava is coming and telling you halachot. Halacha number 1 is that if you buy a field and you don't know that it's stolen, and you came and you appreciated the field, you get the money plus the shevach. Okay, now even though the guy didn't specify, meaning the seller did not specify that you're getting the shevach or whatever it is, you get the money plus shevach. Second case, you recognize it was stolen from the beginning. You still bought the field and you appreciated it. You only get the money. You do not get the shevach. Third case, what about if right now you come and you do not have a guarantee? It was not written in the document. Says the Gemara, third psak halacha, whether it's talking about a milveh, which is a loan, whether it's talking about a sale document, it was a taut sofer. Taut sofer means it was a mistake by the sofer that he didn't write it down in the document, which means that you still have to come and you have to get back the field or get back the money, because at the end of the day there is a achrayut. It's not written achrayut, taut sofer. It was a mistake of the sofer that he didn't write down the achrayut in the document. Okay? Now we continue. Ba mineh, right? Ba mineh Shmuel merav. Shmuel comes and he asks a question from Rav. We're talking about the gazlan. He comes and he sells the field. V'chazaru l'chacha miba'alim arishonim. Mahu. Imagine right now this gazlan comes, he steals the field, and he sells it. And then he goes and he buys it from the original owners. Yeah? So one more time.
So who he sold it to?
Somebody else.
So how can it...
Yeah, one more time. A guy comes, let's say John Doe. John Doe comes and he steals my field. Yeah? Okay. He steals my field and he sells it now to, how was it? Jane Doe? Jane Doe. Yeah, Jane Doe. Okay. So he sells it to Jane Doe. Now all of a sudden, right, John Doe, after selling it, he comes to me. And now he wants to buy the field from me. So he actually buys the field from me. He stole the field from me, right? Then he sold it. And then he comes back to me and he wants to buy it from me. And he actually buys it. So therefore, now the question is, what's halacha? Is he instead of the Ba'alim Arishonim? Because since at the end of the day now, is it that he's instead of the Ba'alim Arishonim? Because since he bought it, right, it's kilu that he bought it from someone else. And therefore, can he, basically, is this guy now, this stealer, this thief,
Doesn't matter.
the original owner? Yeah? So does he now come and is he able to come and to take it away from me or not?
I mean, after, I don't know, he buy it from you or he takes it?
So says the Gemara, Amar Lei, comes Rav and he tells Shmuel, Mama chalo rishon lasheni. He comes and he says, right, what did the first person sell to the second person? Right? He comes and he says, Kol zechut shetavo liyado. Any zechut that comes to him, which means the gazlan cannot come and take away the field from the lokeach. Because when he sold him the field, right, the gazlan sold the lokeach not only the field the way that it is, which technically didn't even belong to him, but any zechut to the field that will come to him in the future. Because if he's going to buy it from the original owners, so therefore that also he sold. Meaning, when this guy came, what was the stealer's name again? The thief? John Doe. When John Doe came and he stole the field, and now he sold it to Mr. X, right? Or Jane Doe, whatever you want to call her exactly, or call him. So what happens is he's not only just selling the field the way that it is, which technically is not even his, he's actually selling the rights to the field, or anything that is going to come to him afterwards as well. Says the Gemara, my tama, what's reasoning? Or Zutra Amar, nichale de lo nikre gazlana. The reason why is because a person does not want to be called a gazlan. And therefore, since he doesn't want to be called a gazlan, even if afterwards he's going to try to come and try to purchase the field, right, the lokeach is actually going to be zoche, right? Because it's good that way. Rav Ashi, yeah, he's doing teshuvah, and he doesn't want to be called, right? He doesn't want to be called a thief. So therefore, what's happening is that he's going to come and he's going to do this. At the end of the day, it's still good, it's valid, but he already sold those rights to the lokeach. Rav Ashi comes and he says, Nichale deleku be'emunuteh. For sure, it's good for the gazlan to be ne'eman, right? So therefore, he's going to try to make sure that the mekach is going to work because he wants to make sure that he's a trustworthy person. Which means there are two different svarot that we're actually saying. Either he doesn't want to be called a gazlan, which is on the negative, or in the positive that he wants to be an adam amin, right? A person that's believed. So because of that, he's going to try to do everything, single type of a trick in the book to make sure that he's actually going to have the field under his name, and therefore the transaction was good. So if he's doing that, obviously he cannot take the money. So says the Gemara, what's the difference between the two different lashonot? Whether you're going in the positive or the negative. He doesn't want to be called a gazlan, or that he wants to be a person which is like a believed person. So the difference between them is the mit lokeach, when the guy died. Man de Amar, because according to the Man de Amar, the guy which is the lokeach, the purchaser died, right? The Mr. X. He says it was according to the Man de Amar, the nichale de lokle gazlan, he doesn't want to be called the thief, right? Ha mitle, tetzayin amud aleph on the top. Ha mitle. What does that mean? The lokeach is already met, so there's no chashash that he's going to be called a gazlan anymore, right? But according to the Man de Amar, the nichale de lekum is that he wants to be a person which is amin, right? A person that is believed. He still wants to be called, right, a person that's believed to do with the children. So basically, if the lokeach already died, he can't start cursing him out that he was what was all the words that you said? The whatever it is, like the no. The guy died, so he's not going to curse him out, but he still wants to be a person that's believed. So for the children, that's going to be the nafkamina. He still wants to be a person which is going to be believed.